Museum of Fine Arts Houston gives visitors the chance to step back in time. This summer, you can visit the birth of the cool in American craft.
This exhibition, titled In the Studio, Craft in Post-War America, 1950s to 1970s, is looking at those 2 decades in studio craft, where it was a period of time where artists were really moving away from working in industry to working in the studio, making handmade objects, and that was being done in a number of materials that you'll see in the exhibition, including wood, ceramics, fibers, and metals and jewelry. And the exhibition selects work from our permanent collection to illustrate this really important moment in the history of craft. A real support system that happens is the GI Bill. This is a law that's put in place to help provide funds for ex-servicemen coming back from the war. And a lot of individuals actually go back to school and study craft. These materials typically were thought of as being worked and made out of more industrial or factory settings. For instance, in ceramics, in the past you would have someone who was working on the vessel form and someone who was decorating the vessel form. Instead, these artists were coming out of academia and thinking of themselves as being trained in both of these materials. So they were not only making the objects, they were decorating the objects, and these were unique objects made by hand. You also see at this point in time a number of professional organizations formed around this material, one of which is highlighted in the exhibition is the American Craft Council, which has at the time a magazine called Craft Horizons, which is documenting the field. Today that magazine still exists. It's called American Craft Magazine. And so you see artists becoming more exhibited, written about, professionalization happening.
If going back to the future is more your style, MFAH has you covered with an exhibit at the cutting edge of immersive art.
We are thrilled to be working with Pipilotti Reist. We are showing 2 interlocking installations, a video that covers 2 monumental walls titled Worry Will Vanish, made in 2014, and a wonderful light forest of hanging lights called Pixel Forest, made in 2016. The video information in the earlier work is also embedded in the later work. And so when you see the light display, you'll see that they are synchronized together. The whole idea of immersion in art goes back to the beginning of the 20th century as a sort of modernist concept. But actually, you could think of going to Versailles and the Great Hall of Mirrors, made during the Baroque era, as the first version of this kind of immersion. What happened was, when museums were created, there was a sort of separation of art into galleries, as opposed to art in environments, the way they had been in churches and in palaces and even people's homes before. And only recently have museums, I think, really begun to encourage contemporary artists to once again take that larger environmental approach. And so it may seem new, but it actually has a history. And I think it's one of the reasons why we respond so powerfully to it. And of course, if you've gone to the movies, you'll say, oh, this is sort of like going to a movie. For me, the great final sequence of 2001, made in the 1960s, is a powerful precedent for Pipilotti's own cosmological vision.
In the Studio, Craft in Post-War America is on display through October 8th. Pixel Forest and Worry Will Vanish are on display through September 17th. For more information, visit the museum's website, www.mfah.org. For Stafford Magazine, I'm Stacee Hawkins.